So, welcome to this special Sunday edition of Why Ukraine. I'm James, and we have a guest today. His name is Matt, and this is literally first time talking to Matt. Met you on Facebook, yeah, and Matt's just come back from Ukraine. How long have you been back?
A little over a month.
Uh-huh.
So I spent nearly 2 years there.
Wow. So of course, I'm in Ukraine. I'm in Cherkasy Oblast right now.
Nice.
And so you went over did you go over when the war started?
I went over on a WHO contract
Oh,
2 weeks after the war started.
wow. As of doing volunteer work or doing defense work, security.
Yeah, I used to work with an organization called Team Rubicon. They're a disaster relief organization, and I was on the international team, so I traveled a lot with them, mostly doing medical operations. But I wasn't too thrilled with how they executed their mission. So after that, I decided to just stay in Ukraine and volunteer solo.
Wow. So in your volunteering, you tell me what you can tell me, I guess. Oh, by the way, we have a couple of people just jumped in. Hello, Mitch, something blonde, Possum Nation. Thanks for coming. It's a surprise live stream today. Thank you for joining. So you were in Ukraine with the WHO, and you started doing volunteer work. Like what kind, or are you allowed to say?
I can say pretty much anything. I was doing tactical medicine, so distributing tourniquets, pretty much focusing on the most life-saving equipment we can deliver, like IFAKs, individual first aid kits.
That's cool. Yeah, I've been raising money for tourniquets, especially, and we've bought just under 50 tourniquets, which isn't a lot, but then again, I'm just starting this, so. And they already went out to the front. They're somewhere around Chasiv Yar right now, those tourniquets.
Nice. Oh, I spent a lot of time up there.
Yeah. I saw on your Facebook page some pictures of, what was that picture with you? There's like a plane in the background. Is that?
Oh yeah,
Bakhmut?
That's in Bakhmut.
I thought I recognized that. Yeah.
Yeah, so, we got there from Chasiv Yar.
Yeah. So you you started out volunteering or working with the WHO and then went into tactical medicine. Did you do any training, or were you working as a medic actually?
We did. I had some other people from Team Rubicon that made their way over to Ukraine, and we did do a few courses in first aid for civilians. And I actually built like a huge network of volunteers. So I was kind of the point guy for a lot of people coming into the country, and I connected them with other volunteer groups.
Yeah. When the war started, I was not involved in any of that. I was teaching English here, and I still do. So like, I didn't have any contacts with anyone, and I got long COVID on the first day of the war.
Damn.
And I was sick, flat on my back, sick for about 3 months.
Damn.
It was crazy, man.
COVID
Absolutely
sucks.
Crazy.
I've had COVID 5 times.
Yeah. I think I've had it 3 times, but it might be more. I don't even bother checking anymore now. Getting tested, it's like, oh well, it's just it's funny how the war cured COVID.
Yeah, right. I
for all.
remember some volunteers asking if the soldiers want COVID tests, and I just laughed like they don't have the fucking time for that.
Yeah. Actually, when I was in training in the Legion in the barracks, okay, one guy from England who was next to me had COVID and basically gave it to everyone, like
Yeah,
literally everyone. Half of the Legion, half of the recruits, in other words, ended up either being hospitalized or having to go home because they were just so sick from it. That was last summer, actually. Summer COVID.
wow,
Yeah, yeah, pretty
damn.
pretty shitty. Um,
Yeah, I got Delta, COVID Delta on my way back from Uganda,
mm,
and then I got a blood clot and almost had a pulmonary embolism, but
mhm.
luckily I got to the hospital in time.
That's a that's a real risk with that shit.
Yeah.
So what? So in Ukraine, you were so you're doing training, working with Rubicon. Did you eventually join the Legion or the ZSU or anything like that?
No, I worked with Azov Special Forces a lot in
Hmm.
Kharkiv.
Hmm.
Uh, so I kind of connected with a lot of organizations. I was working with the medical disaster response for a while, and I was the point man on the ground there.
Hmm.
And I ended up doing pretty much everything. I distributed everything short of weapons,
Wow.
like body armor, protective equipment for soldiers, vehicles, Starlinks, anything a soldier would need
Hmm. Hmm. And
on the front.
was this stuff coming in that was like donations?
Yeah, I worked with the Ukraine aid ops for a while,
Hmm.
and so we were distributing like hundreds of sets of body armor, like ceramic plates, night vision, optics, like thermal.
Wow.
Yeah, so everything pretty much. The only thing I didn't do is give people guns.
Yeah,
Although I made a lot of connections with arms dealers while I was out there.
I'm sure. I bet. I bet. Yeah, I mean, 2 years is a long time to be out there doing that, you know, and especially with Azov and especially in Bakhmut. Um, okay, we have some people joining. Um, anyway, uh, so KK's GG, hi, welcome. Um, thanks for coming on in. Uh, Yeah, let's see. Saul says allies. Yeah, I recently changed the name of my YouTube channel basically um, to the Last Alliance. I don't know. I decided to go all nerdy with like a Lord of the Rings theme. Um,
Nice.
yeah. um, but yeah, let's see. Yeah, so guys, thanks everybody for coming in. So we got Matt here, and he's just spent 2 years here in Ukraine, working with well, you might have to go back and listen to the whole story, um, but we've got more to tell. So um, quite a lot of awesome stuff. Um, so so you were in Bakhmut, and how close were you to the front line? How close were you to combat?
Like 500 meters. Um,
That
yeah,
basically is the front line, you know.
yeah. Russians tried to blow me up like a dozen times,
Yeah,
but they missed. So I'm happy they missed.
yeah, yeah. Now, did you sustain any injuries while you were there?
No, a piece of shrapnel almost ended me.
Uh huh.
Uh, the fucking minefields were a nightmare.
Yeah,
I picked up a I picked up a little PTSD from being out there for so long.
I bet. I bet. I saw your Facebook post about that. You know, um, did you? So shrapnel. PTSD. What about TBI? Did you get any? A lot of guys coming back have suffered from, long, like, multiple concussions or just sort of that low level concussion from being close to various blasts for so many
Yeah,
times.
I got a pretty bad TBI back
Yeah.
in last March,
Mm.
March 5th.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm recovered from that mostly. My left hand isn't fully back, but it's like 95% back.
Wow.
I've been doing occupational therapy to
Mm-hmm.
get all my motor skills back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you did occupational therapy in Ukraine?
I did a little bit of physical therapy in Ukraine, but the healthcare system in America is much different.
Yeah.
So there were more. I ended up after my TBI, I ended up going back to America for a couple months
Uh-huh.
just to get myself back in shape.
Yeah. And then you went back after that to
Yeah, I couldn't sit still for too long.
yeah.
I missed it. Like there's a there's just a sense of fulfillment
Yeah.
doing the work out there,
Yeah.
more so than sitting around in America. When I know like good people I know are dying or they need help, I just I just felt the need to go back and do what I can.
Yeah. Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, all said, we distributed with my partners and teammates. We distributed over $10 million in aid and protective equipment. I think our biggest run was like a $6 million run with medical supplies. We stocked 6 hospitals with enough equipment, enough supplies to last them 3 months. So like stabilization points in hospitals around the front line.
Mhm. Mhm. That's freaking awesome. Um how you're out there for 2 years and you were here for 2 years. How have you seen things change in that time?
Well, I would say the volunteer community and environment has changed a lot. As I'm sure you've noticed, there's like donor fatigue. Donor fatigue is a big thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of the organizations I know that came here, there's a lot of money flying around. A lot of
At the
people
beginning.
with bad intentions. Yeah, people raising tens of millions of dollars and then disappearing without doing jack shit. So so now it's there's a lot less money. So the people that are there for the long haul are kind of struggling. You see organizations like breaking up.
Yeah.
You see things aren't what they used to be. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's just you see a lot fewer cars, trucks on the road with different volunteer organization markings, and I'm kind of I'm not in Kiev. I'm in a pretty rural area of Cherkasy Oblast here, but even still, I see a lot more army. Well, I see a lot of ZSU traffic, but not nearly
yeah,
as much volunteer stuff. You know,
yeah,
here.
yeah. The landscape has changed for sure.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not what it used to be. So you have to adapt and do your best.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's it. When all this started, I wanted to help and had no idea how. And I had people in America. This is 2 years ago, saying, "Oh, I want to help, and how can I help?" And 95% of it was bullshit, frankly. Um, but I didn't I didn't have the connections. I didn't know who to talk to about anything, and myself having no military background. Um, I mean, there's like volunteer centers, but all they're making nets, and that's it. And they're like, yeah, we've got
Yeah,
enough people to make nets. We don't need you, you know. So it took me a while to figure out what the hell to do, basically.
yep. Yeah, I would say I spent a few months just building a network, uh, going to meeting people. I was doing meetings like every day, and it got to the point that I had so many connections that every morning I'd wake up to like 150 plus messages, and it became overwhelming. I couldn't even keep up with all of it. Everybody had a request, and then I would try to fulfill it, but it was more than I could handle on my own.
Yeah, I bet. That's my problem is I'm just like me. I have no I mean, all the people I know, friends, relatives, students, organizations that I know here in Ukraine in my life, they're just not us. They don't have anything to do with that. And so yeah, building networks is hugely important. And it took me a while, basically. I'm kind of still just on doing everything on my own, pretty much. But maybe it's a good thing in the sense that, like you talked about donor fatigue. Well, I mean, I'm just coming into it. I'm just getting started with it. I haven't had the chance to. I'd started actually really raising money. This past November is when, you know, and I didn't know anything about YouTube. I'd never done video editing. um, Certainly never done a live stream before. So yeah, it's a big adjustment to be sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm actually outside of volunteering. I'm a photographer and filmmaker.
hmm,
So I did a lot of like short form documentaries over there.
really,
Yeah.
where did you?
Partially to go ahead.
Where did you? Are they online or where did you upload?
Yeah, some were on Twitter, some are on Instagram, on my Instagram, which is just
Mhm.
my last name. Um, yeah, so a lot of it was to just show donors and show the public what we're doing.
Right.
Uh, our biggest, one of our biggest deliveries outside of the medical equipment for the hospitals was I connected with a military group in Germany, and they had a ton of MREs, so like military rations. So we ended up delivering like 40 tons of MREs to the
Wow.
military.
Holy
Yeah,
crap.
and
In
like 5 tons of humanitarian food for civilians.
Yeah. In just in your trucks running them out to the OPs or
Yep.
yeah. So how did you work that security? I mean, how did you keep yourselves safe? I mean, obviously you can't do it all the time. I mean, there, like you said, mines, and I've heard some real horror stories about volunteers out there. You know.
Yeah. We had a somebody in Ukrainian ops. They were driving and they hit a mine. So they have the GoPro video of all of it. When one guy died, my buddy, he got burned really bad. He's still he's missing hair now. He's got scars all over his body, but thank God he survived.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, you have to be careful. Like when you're on the front, there's Russians that wake up at like before dawn and they'll crawl through the front line and just lay down mines.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anytime you're walking through the front, like near the front, you have to be really careful.
Yeah. So they're actually really they're kind of sneaking behind the front lines, you
Yep.
know, and to do that, which is incredibly risky. But I guess in a world with where there's very little night vision, um, you know, they can get away with it. I guess.
Yep. Yeah, sneaky motherfuckers.
Hmm. Yeah. So you went all the way along the front line, but you spent a lot of time in Bakhmut. Yeah.
Yeah, we spent some time there. We were delivering to a unit there, and and then we went to the front line and we delivered some more things. I think in total we probably delivered equipment to around 250 units. We'd do crazy deliveries where we'd leave at like 1 or 2 in the morning, and then we'd drive for like 25 hours straight with barely stopping. We'd just stop, basically throw the body armor, night vision, thermal optics to these units, get back in the car, keep driving.
Yeah.
That shit was brutal. Like driving thousands of kilometers. I actually learned how to drive manual on the front line.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny.
There was no
Go ahead.
like there was no training. My buddy was just gave me the basics. It was like my second time trying to drive stick, and I just had to learn because we needed a driver. So that was how I learned driving thousands of kilometers on the front line.
Yeah, that's a thing that most Americans don't know about Europe is that manual transmissions are like 75, maybe 90% of vehicles here are still manual transmission. And in
Yeah,
America, it's like,
it's all auto. I
yeah,
saw a meme about it, like the best security system is just a manual car for
in
Americans.
America.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of surprised you didn't burn out the transmission because my first stick shift, I burnt out the tranny, you know, or the
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, I stalled a few times in the beginning, but I got the hang of it. I was
Mhm.
driving a 5-ton van called Moby Dick, and just had to figure it out. There was
Yeah,
no time to do like a full training session.
yeah, no, that's literally under the gun, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's cool. So what? I mean, what was the craziest thing that happened to you out there? Would you say?
Um, we yeah, good quote there, Cypher. Uh, I think the closest I got to getting super blown up. I mean, there were many times when we were just laying on the concrete, uh, just waiting for the artillery to stop getting closer to us. Because one of the things you learn is you learn how to tell just from the sound outgoing and incoming artillery.
Hmm.
And that's critical. Because
Hmm.
so yeah, the closest I got to getting blown up was in outside of Kharkiv. We were like 400 meters from the enemy, and we finished our drop, and we got in the van and we left, and then we heard like 20 seconds of driving, we heard a huge explosion, and then we confirmed it 10 seconds later that it was a cluster bomb that landed on our position. So we left. We had like 20 seconds to survive, otherwise we were dead.
Yeah, yeah. Did did the truck survive?
Yeah, everything survived. We didn't get a direct hit. We just happened to be lucky enough to leave at the right moment.
Hmm. Hmm.
'Cause,
Oh, what Ronnie in our group was just asking, did you guys drive more diesel or was it gasoline cars?
I think it was mostly gasoline.
Yeah, yeah. I see. You know, it's a mix of both. Military vehicles are, of course, almost all diesel, and in my experience here, diesel vehicles are more highly valued, I guess. But like so like last winter or the winter before especially, um everybody wanted to have diesel generators though because gasoline was being rationed. You could only get gasoline in short supply here, and um a diesel generator you could get as much diesel as you wanted, um but the gasoline generators were all people didn't
The
want.
best thing for me was I had a military ID, so I could get more gas than other people.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, I joined a. I happened to connect with a a battalion called Spas, and the leader of that unit happened to speak Romanian. I'm Romanian, and he
Oh,
happened to
yeah,
speak
I wondered about
Romanian
the name. Yeah.
because he was living near in Moldova, like pretty close to like right near the border, and he picked up Romanian as a kid, so we connected that way, and so I helped them a lot. Got a military ID through them, and
Oh,
that helped me a lot. I could go to shops and get like discounts, military discounts everywhere. That was
yeah.
fun because everything is fucking all clothes and things are fucking expensive.
Mm.
Anything imported is really expensive in
Isn't
Ukraine.
that in? Yeah, it's very true here. They put so much import taxes on everything that if it's not made in Ukraine, you're going to pay stupid prices for it.
Yeah,
You know. Yeah, that was true before the war too. Unfortunately.
yep, that's what I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So you were not on contract then with the military. They just gave you a military ID. That's
Yep,
cool.
I also happened to join to get some press credentials. I joined like a anti-corruption journal organization. I also had my military press pass, so I could actually film combat, and
Oh, right.
otherwise you can't do it. We spent
Right.
a lot of time working with artillery units, so I'm pretty happy to say we blew up some Russians.
Mm. Mitch here just asked, do you speak Russian or Ukrainian?
I speak Romanian
Yeah.
and Ukrainian very poorly.
Yeah.
Uh, Such a hard language to learn because there's nothing to draw on from like Romanian, let's say. Like if I'm in Spain, or Romanian is a Romance language.
Right.
So if I'm in Spain or in Italy or France, I can make sense of the words because the words are similar and the grammar is similar.
Yeah.
But I spent a while trying to learn Ukrainian, but it's really hard. It's completely foreign to me.
Yeah. 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 No, I understand. The Ukrainian I know mostly has to do with like the kitchen because I cook with my wife's mother. I cook in the kitchen with her a lot, and so I know all the different vegetables and stuff like that. But as far as being able to actually understand people or speak, it's pretty difficult. You know,
Yeah, I
I
think I think the best food I had ever was whenever we'd stop or spend the night with some military, they would give us like a fucking feast, like a giant table just covered in delicious food.
wow,
Yeah,
wow. So how did you like Solo?
I fucking love Salo.
You like Solo, of course, of course. Uh, Solo and Holodets and
Yep,
all the
and
classic.
borscht.
Oh God, of course. Every day here, every day.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for who's uh yeah, I see let's see. Some people are saying hard to imagine this extremely calm dude as a fighter in a kickboxing ring.
Yeah,
Are you
I'm a national champion Muay Thai fighter in
wow, I
America.
saw some pictures. I was wondering. Yeah. Um okay, yeah, somebody says we need to persuade Why Ukraine to open up his Discord server. Then we can start doing some fun stuff. Yeah, that's true. I'm working on it. I promise. I'm working on it. Um, yeah. Okay. Super cool. Um, let's see. I'm just going through the chat here to see. Um, yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks
Thanks
everybody.
everyone for hyping me up as a fighter.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that you came back to America, I guess. Can you tell us why?
A little over a month ago.
A little over a month ago. Okay.
Um, Yeah, I gave Ukraine, nearly gave Ukraine my life. Uh, but I fucking burned myself out.
Yeah.
Like I burned myself like to the ground. Just these deliveries were like extremely tough mentally and physically. Just like we'd have guys like starting to fall asleep at the wheel. We when we get to like a position where we can rest, we just knock out for like 4 or 5 hours, and then you do that again the next day, more another 1,500 kilometers or whatever.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was really hard work, and self care is critical. Like if you're burned to the ground, you're not useful.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Um. So how did you deal with that? Did you like go on trips a certain number of days, do deliveries a certain number of days, and then come back and rest for a few days, or kind of a rotation?
Yeah, I spoke with a therapist and developed like a plan. And the plan was, however many days you're out on delivery, take that number of days to rest when you get back.
Yeah.
But the work is addictive. Like it's so meaningful, and we know we're saving lives. It's hard to quantify, but I'd say we saved hundreds of lives with what we did. Uh, so I'm really satisfied with what I accomplished in Ukraine. But I knew that uh, that it was time to heal and recover physically, mentally,
Hmm.
and just take care of myself a bit.
Hmm. Yeah. I think of it kind of like you have so much in the bank that you can spend, and once that's spent, you're done. You gotta go back and save up some more. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I sold pretty much anything of value I could while I was in Ukraine. I sold my car, I sold some camera equipment, I sold the majority of valuable things I had, except my camera, because I need that for work.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I came back fucking broke.
Yeah, I saw your post about like, yeah, came back, not a penny to my name, freaking in the hospital, like just,
Yeah. Yeah, I gave Ukraine everything I could. And so I don't feel bad that I left because I think I accomplished a lot, and like other people are saying in the chat, you got to take care of yourself
Mhm.
before you can take care of other people.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Um so when you came back though, I mean, you mentioned PTSD earlier, but did you have any other issues that you had to get
Well,
treated
over
for?
the summer, I had my first seizure from the TBI,
Oh.
and
Ugh.
and that developed into like proper epilepsy, which I
Wow.
have now, which sucks because seizures are fucking scary.
Yeah.
Uh, so I have the right combination of meds now,
Uh-huh.
so I'm not getting them as often, but I have to like be very aware of how much caffeine I'm drinking. Too much coffee will give me a seizure. I can't drink at all. Uh, I've been sober a little over 6 months,
Mhm.
uh, and just have to take care of, be mindful of whatever lowers the seizure threshold, and
Mhm.
avoid that.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Do you remember when you got the injury from the TBI, or
Uh,
was it just successive repeated exposure to explosions?
it was a friendly fire incident,
Oh, nice.
and I got shot.
Classic. Mm.
But yeah, I had my first PTSD flashback a couple months ago,
Mhm.
and I got transported back to a minefield when I was walking outside my parents' house, and I just remember it felt like it felt perfectly real, and I was in Ukraine in a minefield, and I was just walking around, and I was watching my steps, looking out for mines, And now one of the triggers for like a flashback is any kind of loud, bassy noise
Mm,
that just makes me think of artillery.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. For sure. For sure. Yeah. Um, yeah, unfortunately I've heard a lot of stories about friendly fire incidents, especially with volunteers or near misses, you know, because you got people coming in either doing deliveries, medicine, or supplies like you're doing, or trying to evacuate people, and they're coming into an area that's that's active. Um, and I've heard of people getting drones and sometimes nobody's sure if it was friendly fire or not. You know, you're in such a fog of war situation,
Yep.
basically. Yeah.
One of the scariest things to me is those FPV drones
Hmm.
with C4 on them.
Hmm.
Like those are brutal.
Yeah.
Like because they're just like a wasp coming out of nowhere, super fast, and they blow you up.
Well, they're getting so common now that a lot of the few volunteers who are still out there, doing deliveries and stuff. A lot of them are having um, uh, at least some sort of basic anti-drone antenna jammer system.
Yeah, we delivered those
Uh huh.
drone jammers. Yep.
Yeah, I mean they provide a minimum amount of safety, but you never can tell really.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, if you're a really skilled drone pilot, you can get out of the jammers.
right,
I know some guys that are really good at flying drones, and
right,
they can get out of a jamming situation.
right, exactly, and specific drones exist for that purpose too.
Yep.
So yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So when you did you live in one particular place when you weren't making deliveries? Like, did you stay in Kiev
I
or did
lived in Kiev. I lived in Kiev. I had a wonderful girlfriend there.
you? Oh,
Um,
nice.
uh, Unfortunately, we split up, but
Mhm.
I'm very grateful for the time I had with her. Uh, it was good to have a person that understood war. Uh,
Rare,
and it
very
was,
rare.
yep,
Yeah, it's. I mean, not every Ukrainian understands or is prepared to deal with it. To be honest, and it's something I deal
it's a
with.
shame. It's a shame because pretty much every Ukrainian I know can, at this point, will tell you that they lost a friend or a family member to the war. And one of the sadder things that I experienced was like we used to have repeat units that we would make sure to get supplies to,
Hmm.
but every time I would visit them, we'd become closer and closer. I would consider them friends and brothers,
Yeah,
and we'd go out with them, shoot some guns, rocket launchers, AT4s. Uh, but every time we'd return, some of them would be dead. So you spend all this time building a relationship with someone, and you get really close with them. So it was a huge bummer just to come back and see their blood covered body armor and blood covered helmets, and they're dead. And so he lost a lot of good guys.
yeah,
And that was pretty sad.
yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah. I mean, and there's uh, as someone who's faced a lot of friends and family dying in my life, there's no easy way. There's no like miracle fix for it. There's no like Buddhist meditation you can do. I mean, and in many ways you don't want to. You never want to get to the place where you're like, oh, no big deal, you know, really, because that as
I mean,
painful
yeah,
as
you get a little numb. You get a little numb to it. There's
yeah,
no denying that.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, I don't know, maybe in my experience, the first time is the hardest, but then there's all there. you think you can deal with it, and then another one hits you in a different way somehow, and
Yeah.
it's like it's like all new again, all fresh again, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it kind of accumulates slowly, like the
Yeah.
sadness and the feelings you're supposed to feel kind of accumulate in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And then before you know it, you have some depression and some PTSD.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I have found that alcohol is really cheap in Ukraine, but it only helps you so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll admit it. I got dumped because I was drinking too much, and my ex wanted me to stop.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you're fried, your nervous system is so fried. A drink, a few drinks will level you out.
Exactly. When you don't have any other tools to use,
Yeah.
it's what you've got, and that's just how it is. I got alcohol poisoning last year, and since then I can drink like maybe one beer, and I don't even get drunk. I just get a headache. Like it just goes straight to headache. It really sucks. But so,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, that sounds like a good thing to me.
yeah,
Like
kind of.
you have a built-in mechanism to keep you from drinking.
Kind of. But, for a long time, it was definitely a tool that I used or a shortcut that I used, and now I can't do that. I have to face my problems, essentially,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You stop being able to mask your issues with alcohol.
Right. Right. Yep. Yep. So yeah, we so you lived in what part of Kiev did you live in? I lived in where Taras Shevchenko station is, north of Podil?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
lived close to there.
Oh, cool. That's a nice part of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lived in my commander's apartment the
Oh,
whole
okay.
time.
That's cool. Yeah, it's the best part of Kiev, I think.
Me too. Yeah, I lived close to a couple bars where everybody spoke English, like Buena Vista. Buena Vista was a cool place for a while.
Oh, yeah.
It was like it felt like you're just in a basement with a bunch of freedom fighters.
Pretty
Felt
much.
like something out of a novel.
Pretty
Yeah, I
much.
beat some people up in there.
Got in a few fights, yeah. You know.
Yeah, drunk soldiers trying to fight me. Big mistake.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Yeah, that's I've had it I have had it a couple of times too. Luckily, so I'm 6'3",
Oh, me
and
too.
yeah, and I haven't done Muay Thai, but I do medieval combat. That's my hobby.
Hell yeah.
Full contact, full suits armor, and all that stuff. So, but I have had the thing is, Ukrainians are all like kind of short. I mean, they can hit hard,
Yeah.
but I have long enough arms that I can just kind of hold them off.
Yeah,
Usually,
my arms are like long monkey arms. And it
yeah.
pisses off fighters so much because they just can't touch me.
Exactly. People in the chat are debating whether or not, because being in Cherkasy, they're wondering whether or not that's related to the Circassians or Cherkassians, that they're actually Georgian, kind of related to going back to like the Scythians and the Cossacks and all that. So to answer your guys' question about in Cherkasy and the Circassians, I've talked to multiple people here in the Cherkasy area, and they all say no. There's no relationship between the Georgian Circassians or that and the reason it's called Cherkasy. But I don't believe it. I mean, because this was like the center of like Cossacks, everything, and it was also, this area was the border where like the Vikings were kind of in the north, and the Avars and the like, not Mongol tribes, but like nomadic tribes were. This was like the border area for that, and so I think it's entirely possible that the Cherkess or Circassians from either from Georgia or some offshoot. Anyway, yeah. Somebody said Ukrainians are short. Not all Ukrainians, but I would say that like when I'm riding on the metro in Kyiv, 90% of the time I'm the tallest person on the metro. You probably had that
at
experience.
6'3", you're generally taller than most people.
Yeah. So, yeah, pretty much. So, what this is, I just want to thank you for coming. It was totally impromptu, and I just want to say that like I think that more people who've gone out and volunteered, whether they're fighting or medical, whatever they're doing, and they have come back to America, there needs to be some sort of a platform where you can come back and talk about what happened. And I think people need to know, because I don't know how you have felt since you've been back for a couple of months, but I mean, I feel like a lot of Americans are just kind of forgetting about it, or they don't want to think about it.
Yeah, Gaza, the war in Gaza and Israel happened, and people just forgot about Ukraine.
Right.
And now Ukraine is in a really bad spot because they need ammunition, they need artillery, they need everything.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping all these bills go through, because Ukraine is in a dire situation right now.
Yeah. How did it change in terms of the needs that the soldiers had on the battlefield? We talked about like donations coming in and how that has changed, but how has the needs of soldiers on the battlefield on the front line changed in your experience in the last 2 years from the beginning to now?
There's never a shortage of requests for tactical medicine, like tourniquets, IFAKs. Body armor is always needed. Drones are a huge need. They're basically like disposables now. They don't last very long on the front line.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of need for FPV. FPV is kind of changing the landscape a bit.
Sure.
So yeah, the needs kind of remain kind of the same. There's always need for vehicles. Vehicles don't last very long on the front. Yeah. There's always need for protective equipment. There's really good organizations like One Team, One Fight that are continuing the effort of supplying like drone jammers, drones, all that stuff, body armor.
Yeah. I'm just doing my little part and trying to build it bigger and what have you. I have a website. I set up a Shopify where people.
Oh, yeah, I see that link at the bottom.
Yeah. So people can go there and basically I only have just 2 units right now that I'm actively supporting. One, the 4th Training Battalion, so the recruitment barracks for the Legion, and then the Alpha Company of the 1st Battalion. These are people who I personally know, because I've heard so many horror stories about, corruption, and especially like with commanders who basically don't distribute the things to the soldiers.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
People getting their kits stolen, like all this shit. I've been very lucky because I've heard so many stories, but I never had any issues with like checkpoints where they try to steal my stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sad that my body armor got taken by Border Patrol on my way out of Ukraine. Yeah, anything like military related now is confiscated by Border Patrol.
That's shitty because the way it's supposed to work is if it's yours, if you brought it with you, you can take it out.
Yeah, I mean, I was sad. That body armor saved my life. So
yeah, for sure, for sure. Did you pay? Did you bring it with you? Did you pay for it?
I've been lucky. I bought some body armor from an arms dealer, and then I just had people throw me body armor all the time. At one point, I had like 5 sets of ceramic plates sitting in my apartment.
I've got 2 sitting right here. Where the hell? Oh, it's sitting right over here. Actually, that I'm getting ready to send out tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, someone asked a question here. One team, one fight has a YouTube. I don't know what One Team, One Fight is. It's a YouTube channel.
They're an organization that's run by Harry, who's formerly the creator of Ukraine ADOPS, which is one of the best organizations out there in terms of what they deliver. And so it's kind of an offshoot of Ukrainian ADOPS. They do really good work. They do a lot of drone deliveries, Starlinks, all that stuff.
Okay. Cool.
What sort of body armor is the most popular on the front? I would say probably steel plates. We were delivering a lot of ceramic plates. Ceramic plates are great, but they're fragile.
Right.
You can break them. Whereas steel is multi-strike armor.
Multi-shot. Yeah.
Like you can get shot a few times in steel plates, and they're still usable.
Yeah.
Ceramic, you get shot once and it's done.
Toss it. Yeah. The plates that I have are polyethylene and ceramic. So, and it's the ceramic it's like these little, I don't know, octagons or hexagons or whatever.
Yeah.
They're all fit together like that, set into ultra high molecular weight polyethylene setup. So they're supposed to be able to take multiple shots as opposed to some of the other ceramic ones.
Polymer ceramics can take multi-shot.
Yeah. But they're thicker, and I don't know. In my experience, they're heavier. The steel ones that I had were lighter than these ceramic ones I have right now. So
yeah, steel is heavy, but I like it because I can throw it around and not worry about it.
Right. There was just a big problem at the beginning of the war, and there still is sometimes, with people trying to sell homemade steel plates that they put together with duct tape in their backyard. And
yeah, there's a lot of shitty equipment out there. We always tested. We would just shoot the fuck out of a plate and see what happens. If it penetrates, we throw it all away.
That's really cool. Here I'm going through the chat a little bit too. Oh, sorry. Real Dave Seaman. Okay, so you might have to scroll back, but yeah. So Matt here was working with. We went through a whole big list of different organizations, but mainly with Team Rubicon, right, to begin with. Well, WHO and then Team Rubicon, and then is that the only 2 organizations that you worked with, or did you work with these other?
So we got invited by the Ministry of Health originally.
Okay.
And then I worked with this small organization called Medical Disaster Response. So I was the lead guy on the ground there.
Oh, okay.
And then I worked with Ukraine ADOPS. I was part of the ground team.
I'm actually going to their website. I wish. I feel like if I try to share my other screen where I'm looking at all the websites that you're mentioning, or the organizations that you're mentioning, it's going to screw up the way the screen looks right now. So, but I will at some point, guys. Maybe on a future live stream or something, I'll share all these organizations with you because, people are always looking for. I mean, it's so 2 years ago or even 1 year ago, there were so many organizations,
Yep.
coming from outside Ukraine and inside Ukraine to donate to, and it was really hard to know what was good and what wasn't. And so it's always valuable to find organizations that are still operating and are trustworthy.
Yeah, I'd highly recommend Ukraine Aid Ops. They do incredible work, and I'd recommend One Team, One Fight. They also do incredible work. They're focused on like the really important shit that soldiers need.
So how are there? Okay, I'm going to the YouTube for One Team, One Fight here, and I'm just going to share it in our.
I did a documentary for them. I don't know if they posted it on YouTube.
Maybe I see Ukraine war documentaries. One Day with the 80th Brigade.
Yep, that is my video.
That's yours. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That is super cool.
Yeah, I love the 80th. Do I have a patch of them? No. Nope, I don't have one on me.
Yeah. Nice. Wow. So, did you just strictly deliver to ZSU units, or did you deliver to any of the, like, International Legion, Georgian Legion?
All of them, yep. Like I said, within my time there, we delivered well over 250 units.
Wow.
So Harry, my buddy, he has like a full wall covered of patches from different units. And sometimes at checkpoints, if they gave us shit, we'd have it on the roof of the car, like on the top of the car. He would just point to the soldier at the checkpoint, like, look at our fucking patches, and then they would just let you through.
Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We did a lot of, like, I was grateful that my commander would give me the passwords to go out at night. So never had an issue driving at night because we had all the passwords.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge because I know.
And luckily, I learned how to read Ukrainian or Cyrillic.
Yeah, that's one thing I can do too, at least.
Nice.
Saves me a lot. So as long as I can kind of figure out the word, yeah, you're right. It's so different from English or Spanish or any of that. So it's always it's a challenge for sure. So a couple of questions I'm thinking about right now. First of all, how were you paid? I mean, you were a volunteer, but I mean, you had to get money somehow. You couldn't just live off of other people's ramen,
What we did is we tried to have low overhead, and we survived pretty much strictly off donations. Like my apartment was pretty cheap. I think it was like $300 a month, which it was a nice apartment. But you can get it cheaper. Like if you're smart and you know some people, you can get an apartment for like $100 a month in Ukraine,
especially outside of Kyiv. Like in Kyiv, 300 is, even 400 might be normal for like a 2-bedroom apartment or something.
Yeah.
But out in the sticks, out in the little villages like I'm in, it can be
but it becomes annoying because you wanna be able to act fast. You want to be able to go on like a delivery quickly. So we had a house on the left bank, and it was really convenient because you can get on the highway really fast from there.
Yeah, over in like Lisova or out towards Boryspil. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but that's a tough way to live when you're just basically, taking just enough to live off of the donations that you get, and constantly being on, like, living like a vagrant for 2 years,
Yeah.
essentially, you know?
Yeah, I'm like a professional vagabond, so I can make things work on very little money.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, you know, you mentioned um, Ukraine aid ops, one team, one fight. Um, and I'm going to provide links to, you know, in the description of this video for everybody. What I want to know is, speaking for myself here, you know, I, you know, no military experience, no knowledge about any of this stuff. I actually applied to the International Legion 10 freaking times. By the time I was healthy enough after COVID, um, to apply to the Legion, they were like, "Yeah, we don't need you if you don't have military experience." You know,
Well, the good thing is that there's such a need for soldiers right now
right now. Yeah,
that there's a small chance that I go back to Ukraine and just join the Legion.
right.
They have a training center where you don't need any military experience. You train boot camp for like 30 days, and they place you with a unit.
Yep. No,
Uh,
I've
so
been there.
it's
I
doable.
Yeah, I was there last summer, and I had applied. I applied like 9 times, and I had actually given up. I was like, "Fuck it, they're never gonna let me in." I was so depressed, like, you know, couldn't even drink alcohol anymore, just super depressed. And then finally, I called them one time, and they were like, "Yeah, we need you here on Monday." And I hadn't worked out. I had stopped. I had just given up, so for like 6 months, and so yeah, I mean, I went and trained for a month. Ended up fucking up my back and I dislocated my wrist and had like a, what do you call it? When you get a bulge in your
Bulging
lumbar
disc.
vertebrae. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They got the first week, and the IC is wants us to do man carries, you know, fireman carries, right?
Yep.
And we all had to pair up with each other. And of course, I'm 6'3", you know, big dude, tallest dude there, and nobody wanted to pair up with me. And the only person who would pair up with me to do these fireman carries was a literal dwarf
Wow.
from Italy. He was Italian, spoke English, but Italian. He had, I mean, he was a perfectly normal dude, except he only had 3 fingers on one hand and 2 fingers on the other, like this. I don't know
Damn.
how he was ever going to fire an AK, but he weighed as much as I did, except he was like standing on my knees. I was the same height as him, and
Wow.
and they wanted me to do a fireman carry, and I tried to lift him up, and I heard my back go, like I felt it go like pop pop pop, you know.
Damn.
Yeah, it fucked me up. So I'm like, it's taking forever to recover from this shit. I finally got my wrist. I had to get like injections and all this other shit. Finally got my wrist all back to normal, and now my back is fucked. And I'm like, so I'm basically just counting the days, doing like physiotherapy exercises until I can go back, essentially.
Yeah.
Um,
I have a really bad. My lumbar spine is like a 70-year-old's lumbar spine. I have severe arthritis in like all the vertebrae, bulging disc. It's just a whole mess. So
yeah,
I did PT for like 10 weeks to get it better.
yeah,
So it helped,
yeah.
but
That's the trick.
it sucks. There's not much you can do to fix the spine once it's fucked up.
Yeah, you just have to be real careful. And I have to do there's 3 exercises I have to do every day, you know, and frankly, I wasn't doing them enough. I mean, it's my own damn fault that I fucked it up again. Because anyway, it's neither here nor there. But yeah, I know about that, the barracks and everything, and um, it's. I mean, I would say about 50% of the guys that show up, in my experience, more than 50% actually leave before the training is over. You know,
Hmm.
and go home because either they can't deal with the training, or they showed up and they realized that they actually could die, and they weren't signed on for that, But at the same time, some people who came and I did not think they were gonna get through PT. Like, holy crap, dude! Like, couldn't run without a cigarette in there. Couldn't run, period. But and that they're out there fighting right now. Both of the guys I'm thinking of, in fact, are on the front line today as we speak. So,
Good for them.
yeah, it's amazing, and that's actually the people in our chat here. Like, one guy, the guy out Chasiv Yarway. He messaged me on Signal like a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, "Yeah, I really need mags because I keep dropping all my damn mags." So I put it up on the website and did a live stream, and the very next day I was able to send him out 8 mags.
Nice.
So, I mean, it's something, because I'm just sitting around here. Teaching English to Ukrainians, but still, So let's see. Ronnie asks, "Is it possible for a random guy to get in Ukraine?" Yes, not athletic, to go there and help and volunteer with anything they can use. Yeah. So, what would you say about people who want to come to Ukraine? I get a lot of people who say to me, "Well, I want to come to Ukraine for like 2 or 3 weeks because I have vacation time or something. What can I do to
Yep.
help?" Or what do you say about
The
that?
best thing you can do is find an organization and link up with them,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll you try to vet them as best as you can, but just connecting with an org that's already doing work
Mm-hmm.
is the best way to
Mm-hmm.
do meaningful work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I oh yeah, let's see. Aussie Bugga, a pro Ukraine regular I know, K Bell Catherine, she's a regular in here, goes on her working holidays and volunteers at the Frontline kitchen, I think. She does other stuff
Oh,
too.
that's good stuff. They're
Yeah.
good org.
Yeah. She's a regular here. Ronnie and Aussie, the three of you guys know each other. Or you will. She's always in here. So it's just timing. I don't know what time it is in Australia right now. Oh, thanks, Saul. The Last Alliance is just sitting around developing an awesome channel. Well, I'm trying to do more than just I'm trying to network, as you said before, and but it's tough to sort out the bullshit and the bullshitters.
Yep. There's a lot of that.
Yeah. It's a real problem. How do you get contacts from people who are like, I've spent hours and hours talking to people on Facebook or whatever who are like, "Yeah, I really want to come to Ukraine," and like they make all these plans and everything, and then it never happens and I never hear from them again. How do you prevent that? How do you not do you just don't talk to those people, or what?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of useless people coming.
Yeah.
You don't need military experience to do some meaningful work. You
Yeah.
can just find a good org and do your best and make connections and find other orgs and build a small network,
Yeah.
and you can bounce around the ones you enjoy the most.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So besides, we talked about Ukraine ADOPS. Are they the ones that you would recommend? See, the problem is a lot of these organizations are kind of small, and they don't need to be flooded with a million people calling them, trying to help for 2 weeks or whatever. I've talked to so many organizations. They're like, "Yeah, we have enough. We can't deal with any more." Are there any organizations that you know of or can think of that people could or should contact to actually volunteer?
There's a really good group uh, called UK Aid for Ukraine.
Okay.
They have a group on Facebook with a few thousand members, and they do good work. Uh, you they pretty much always need a hand. They're doing a lot of meaningful stuff. They work with military. They do runs to like Kherson. Uh, they always need help. Uh, but I would say join UK Aid for Ukraine.
Okay.
Search that on Facebook. Join the group and just post that you're a volunteer looking for something to do, and they'll probably plug you into something.
That's cool.
It's not always the most exciting. I'm addicted to frontline work, so that's pretty much the only thing that I do. But they get like truckloads of donations from UK, and then they have to sort it, and then they deliver it to where it's needed. So there's a bunch of orgs like that, but I'd recommend if you want to find somewhere meaningful to work. Uh, the leader there is my buddy Andy.
Okay.
Uh, you can talk to him directly and see
Very
where
cool.
he can plug you in.
That's very, very cool because I can tell you that I'm on about 15 bajillion Ukraine pro-Ukraine Facebook pages. 90% of them are inactive now, and a lot of them were just groups of people going like, we want to do something, what can we do? No organization, and people have either, like as you say, burned out, or they filtered out to other groups, and it all kind of petered out in the first year
Yeah,
or so. So that's a really
that
good,
definitely happened.
yeah, really good reference. What about in the USA and America? You think
In
of
the
any?
U.S., it's hard to think of. I didn't spend much time with U.S. volunteers. I did some work with them when they came, like you said, on their vacation. I did plug them in with different volunteers and whatnot. But I would say a big factor is just raising awareness, reminding people that the war is still going on, uh, and you can work with your own network of friends and whatever, and try to raise money. Find groups that need money and do some fundraising. That's it. That's very helpful.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is something that I have been. I mean, of course, I'm here in Ukraine, so like it's tough for me to like say, okay, people in America, you should do these things. But yeah, networking, not just online networking, but offline networking, and
Yep.
getting people together to just talk about stuff, physically in person with each other, like we used to do before COVID. Um,
Yep.
um,
Yeah. There's also like World Central Kitchen. That's
yeah,
a great group, uh, and you can try to connect with them.
yeah.
They're doing amazing work. I worked with them in Africa, and
Oh,
they
cool.
hire locals and pay them to cook
Hmm.
and be part of their team.
Hmm.
So it's worth a shot.
Hmm. Hmm. That's really cool. Yeah. I'm I'm just wondering, since you've come back, have you been able to connect with any uh, pro Ukraine organizations local to you who are doing stuff? I mean, besides me, has anyone come and said, "Hey, tell your story"? You know,
Yeah, I've done a few interviews. I did
anything
some
like that?
interviews on a Ukraine TV channel,
Uh-huh.
UA.tv. Um,
Oh,
I
okay.
also know uh, a friend of mine, Jana. She started,
Hmm.
I think it's called Bird of Light, and they do amazing work. They do it's like strictly humanitarian stuff, but they deliver like tons and tons of food to to places that need food.
I just found it. Very cool. Super, super, super cool. Yeah. So I know that you have to go soon. How long have we been going here? Yeah, 15 minutes. So
Hour
you have
15.
you have to go in like 15 or something. But yeah. So one thing that I'm trying to do with my little effort is to there's all these small organizations, Bird of Light and Ukraine Aid Ops and UK Support for Ukraine and all of these. I want to somehow weave them together, get them into some sort of like a loose confederation, so that they're I don't know. Maybe it's a crazy idea, but um, so that they're all sort of coordinating, working together for the sake of efficiency, for the sake of economies of scale. Um, but the other part that I'm working on is I want to figure out a way. This is crazy. I want to figure out a way that people who donate to Ukraine or do volunteer work for Ukraine, doesn't matter if it's with Ukraine Aid Ops or they buy a drone off of on my website and I send it somewhere. Um, that volunteer work or those donations that they're doing go into some sort of like a register, like a holy book of all these people around the world who are doing things, and so that they can be rewarded in some way. I mean, I know that's not why you did the things you did and are doing things you do. That's not what motivates any of us. But I'm thinking about in the same way that like charity organizations like the Rotary Club, for example,
Yeah.
or the Elks Lodge or something, and somebody donates some money to send a kid to college or to help a village in Africa, and they have like a dinner and they call you up and they're like, Matt Mastiescu, helped with this stuff, and they give you a nice plaque that you can hang on your wall. I mean,
Yeah, I've gotten a few of those.
yeah, that's the sort of thing that I think makes this potentially prevents that burnout, or at least slows down the burnout factor a little bit. Knowing that there's a community like everybody in my chat right now who's like totally wants to support you and is I don't know what this is going to look like, what this kind of loose organization is going to look like, but it's something I'm working on.
Yeah, there's also, I don't know if you use Reddit at all,
Not
but
really.
there's a Ukraine subreddit, and
Uh-huh.
they have lists of organizations. So for
Oh,
people looking to volunteer, go on the Ukraine subreddit on Reddit and look through all the lists of orgs they have there. And Ukraine Aid Ops gets posted a lot there for the work they do.
that's good to know. Okay.
So some of that work has already been done, like what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Uh,
pieces are out floating around out there. That's
yeah.
good. That's good to know, because it's just me sitting at my laptop here,
Yeah,
sitting
there's
here
also
being
a huge
frustrated.
community on Twitter, although in my opinion, Twitter is really toxic. You got a
Yeah,
lot of when I'm on there, I get a lot of negativity.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm on Twitter too, but like, I think I check it like once a month, and that's about it. You know.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I looked at Twitter.
But I mean, the problem is there's all these different platforms, and we're all kind of scattered everywhere. You know, and that's the thing that I want to do is bring all these groups together in some way. I'm not sure how, but it's my long.
Yeah, if I put the time in, I could easily build a huge network of groups and people to talk to. Unfortunately, my last trip to Ukraine, my phone got stolen. I lost like 10,000 photos, and
Oh my god. Oh.
all of my hundreds of like Signal group chats
Yeah.
got removed. So that sucked.
Yeah, that really sucks. Wow. Well, at least I'm sure you still have some contacts, but yeah, you lost
Yep.
a lot.
Yeah, I lost like a few hundred contacts from Ukraine. I'm
Wow.
still trying to figure out a way to get them back on my phone.
Yeah. There's got to be I mean, it depends on how you had it all configured, cloud, whatever, backup,
Yeah,
whatever. Sometimes that works, but yeah, that really sucks. Um, well, I would like to, first of all, if you have time, anytime, like weekends like this is good. If you want to come back on the channel to talk about anything you want, you're always totally welcome to do that. Just, you know,
awesome. Thank you.
yeah. I'll send you an invite probably next weekend too. And if you feel up for it, or if you're not too busy, you're
Cool.
welcome to come on and, you can tell us another cool story, or we can talk, just shoot the shit. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, man.
Whatever's clever.
Sounds good.
Yeah, dude.
Do any of these people in the chat have any questions before I
Yeah.
leave?
Yeah, guys. Speak now or forever hold your peace. I'm sure they have lots of questions. Yeah, everybody's like, yeah, please
Thanks,
get him
Herb.
back.
You're making me feel better about myself.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So he'll come back. So think of more questions that you guys want to ask. For reals, for reals. So you have another appointment today, huh?
Yep, I'm meeting with a few friends.
Rockin'. That's good to hear. That's good to hear, man. Really good. Yeah. So,
Oh, that's really nice of you, Ozzy. Appreciate you.
yeah, it's super cool. So yeah, basically, we'll want to have you back on and talk about more of this stuff. I want to get people connected with all the groups that you listed, and you know, I'm building a small community, but you're right. It's like these communities already exist. It's more about like kind of tying them together in some way.
Right. Yeah, and guys, my Facebook is my name right there. If anybody wants to message me or talk a bit more about volunteering, feel free to add me, and I'll add you back. Say thank you, something, Glenn.
Hey. Looks like you got an admirer. So yeah, so if you heard that, guys, Matiescu. Yeah,
And my Instagram is my last name, Mariescu.
Mm-hmm. I found you on Instagram too, just now. Well,
awesome.
We were talking and stuff. I'm kind of about Instagram, but eventually I'll get on it again. But
yeah, I post a lot of my photos. I have like thousands of photos I need to still dig through to post. I have another documentary I want to make, so if you follow me anywhere, I'll eventually post stuff.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm going to link on my channel, link to your documentary on the One Team One Fight channel too, so people can check it out. Yeah, man. All right. Well, it was really awesome to have you. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope we get to talk again. It made me feel good too.
Appreciate you having me on. It was a good time. Always good to talk to. You got a really positive community here. Yeah. So thanks, guys. Yeah. Appreciate you all.
Yeah, it's a small community, but these guys are the real deal. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, man. Well, have a great rest of your day. And
thank you.
Yeah. Double you, as we say.
Cool.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Right, see you guys.
Thanks for coming. Slava Ukraina. And
Heroям slava.
That's right.